You know these people? Talking to Serenity.
Is that a whispered message?
Yeah.
Just go with it.
This is the second time this has happened to Serenity.
Yes.
The last people we said you'd have no problem if you're with me, so I don't know, but...
Yeah.
Do you know a safe place to take up camp in the area?
And
we had set up camp earlier, but there were hill giants nearby. Stone giants.
The woman responds that, of course, you and your companions must follow her and be their esteemed guests. That they have waited long for your arrival.
Oh, I'd be grateful. And do you mind if I retrieve my weapons?
And they don't mind at all.
Okay.
Something's up.
So, do you
Meanwhile,
notice
Mahogany is
something?
disappointed as he walks by. He's like, really? Not Aquan? He says to one of the Swan Ways in Aquan.
How far is the travel to your camp?
They have ranged out several days from... not several days, one day. In search of stone giants in the area. That's what she and her group are doing out here.
We need to rest for the night still.
We've come a long way since this morning. We started at the waterfall.
She gives orders to some of her companions, and they immediately break away, start building a fire. They set to work. And her response is, then of course we shall rest until you are ready to travel. She introduces herself as Gestra.
Hey, a note I'm taking. This is the first note I've taken this whole session.
Now, what was that organization called, Brooke?
Which one? The cultists?
No, the guys with the feathers.
Oh, they didn't. All you know for now is that the first one, her name is Gestra.
Okay.
But you can ask them questions as you're going through your long rest.
I just wasn't sure if we had already heard that or not. So stone giants aren't usual around here?
They aren't. They're much more prevalent as you travel to the east. If you push through Goblin territory and get into the foothills of the Great Mountains, they're much more common. But this far out in the woods, they usually don't even come down into the woods. And to see them this close to the river is almost unheard of. In fact, they tell you that when they first got reports of them in the area, some of their number didn't believe them because it was so unprecedented.
Has anyone suggested why they might be ranging out this far?
And they don't know. Their investigation so far hasn't turned up anything except a couple of dead stone giants.
So we're looking, if you don't mind me changing this topic, we're looking for a gnome.
And there are many gnome families that live in various parts of the forest. Do you know the clan name you're looking for?
I don't know the clan name. I just know that he's referred to by Grandfather Zook.
And at the mention of the name Grandfather Zook, she definitely recognizes the name with some fondness. And she says that Grandfather Zook is always welcome in our halls.
But
When was the last time he was here?
It's been several turns of the moon. He shows up unannounced, and usually guests that show up unannounced to their halls would be turned away, but Zook is considered an honored friend.
Mahogany, how long does it take for the moon thing to go around?
Mahogany looks up at it, and he said, like, I think they're called... I didn't come up with this. I think it's called a month, which isn't very helpful. You
do know what a month is, because Sigil has months.
That must be like a planar month, right? Prime month?
A month is a prime month? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they actually do have moon.
You guys just made McDohl squeal.
Does Grandfather Zook show up around here?
Not with any sort of regularity when the mood suits him.
Is there anything we can do to help you in your work against the stone giants?
They say that they believe that they've pushed the giants back away from their territory, which is to the extent to which they basically care, and that their job is more or less wrapped up now.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything for the Swan Maze before we move on?
I haven't turned off.
Yeah. Let's go back to their place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
Still funny.
you guys push north to an enormous lake. A lake so huge you can't see to the other side of it, standing on this bank. What you do see is an island very far out into the lake. And there is a rope bridge that spans the gap. All of the 10 or 12 or so of the women walking with you, as they approach the lake, they all transform into swans and fly across the gap.
Yay.
That.
Jestra says that she'll walk along the bridge with you, and that though it looks rickety, she assures you that it is safe.
Is this the kind of river I could swim across, or is it too choppy for that?
You could swim across this lake.
Yeah, I'll do that then.
Okay. You'd have to find a way to get up the cliff on the other side.
That's fair.
They were human until they all transformed into swans.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, they looked human as far as you could tell.
Right. Yeah.
Cross the bridge then.
Did they look
Yep.
like a little swanish, though? Like around the eyes?
No, they were just wearing cloaks made out of white feathers. So is everybody crossing the bridge, or are we doing silly stuff like swimming?
Yeah, I probably won't. That's what I was asking, if it was possible to cross the bridge. I guess it was no, there's a cliff on the other side.
If you're swimming, I'm going to roll and see if a kraken attacks you in the lake, because it's a pretty big lake.
Yeah,
so
I'll just walk across it.
As soon as I see the Kraken, Mahogany's like, yes!
It's not a beast. Sorry.
Damn it.
The name of their temple is Quesilon, and she tells you that it was built by elves in eons past, and that either it was abandoned or the elves befell to some sickness or to some natural tragedy, but the temple stood unoccupied for generations. Her people have been inhabiting it for over 100 years now. Their coven numbers close to 100 now. And you learn that... Oops, give me a second, sorry. I just accidentally closed my NPC list. You learn that the coven, their leader, the one that directs their actions, the one that ordered them to go out and investigate the stone giant threat, her name is Raichel, the All-Mother. She's the oldest of the order. It said that she was a young girl when they took up occupation in the temple, so very clearly older than a normal human lifespan. In addition, there are 3 rangers that they're kind of the middle management. One of which being Jestra, who you've met, and the other 2 are Halima and Arendu. Do we have any other questions about the organization while we're crossing the bridge?
Mm.
Do they have any other enemies aside from the stone giants that ever pose a local threat?
They are beset on all sides by enemies. In fact, one of the reasons they took up residence at this lake is because it's very easily defensible. If you were to travel a couple of days to the west, out where the forest thins out and becomes plains, but before you get to the foothills, you are running into miles and miles and miles of goblinoid territory. Hobgoblins, goblins, bugbears, some tribes of warring orcs. If you were to travel, I'm sorry, not west, east. If you were to travel to the west, where the forest gets thicker and thicker, you're starting to deal with evil fae. Ancient hags and the like. South, along the river, you would run into the cult of the Black Tongue.
Which we've had the pleasure.
And then, of course, there's sparse tribes of hill giants all through the woods. Very far to the south, you would run into an army of lizard men who were led by the Black Dragon. So some of these threats you guys are already aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And very far to the southwest, several weeks of travel after you leave the woods proper, is the border of a human civilization, which are hated amongst the folks of the forest for being very heavy loggers. In fact, the only tribe that they have a loose alliance with are the Fearbolgs along the river to the south.
Yeah, we spent a night or two with them. They seemed alright.
The temple that she brings you into is much larger, much too large for a cadre of what she says close to 100 people. It looks like you could safely provision an army here for some length of time, which makes sense because she explained this was once a major elven outpost. Being an elven outpost, the stone doesn't look worn. It looks like today, this just as nice as the day it was built. With gray and white stones, very decorative buttresses. Yes, there are buttresses. High stone walls with battlements and towers. Their coven only inhabits the east wing of the temple, although the west wing is maintained. They just don't have enough people to man the whole thing.
Is there a gate that you come in once you cross the bridge, or?
There is.
Okay.
And it's raised up as you go through.
So it's like the swan thing? Is that like an inherent ability you have, or do the people join?
And her answer, cryptically, is... It is a facet of our order that we all enjoy.
These people are Mahogany's favorite.
None of them are bears.
Dude, Mahogany's a friend to all beasts. There's no wrong way to love a beast.
And if you were to go a little bit kind of like in this area, if you had started out going to the north, it's infested with enormous packs of dire wolves and possibly werewolves. Oh, I forgot to mention. Yeah.
Well, good thing we avoided that. Because the last time we ran into werewolves didn't go so well.
By the time you guys have crossed the bridge, word has already been given inside of the temple that visitors were coming. Quarters have already been established for you. Very rustic. These people, even though they inhabit this very elaborate old elven temple, their actual day-to-day lives kind of a few levels above subsistence farming, basically. They're hunter-gatherers primarily. They don't have a lot of their own ornaments here. A very quaint, down-to-earth existence. But as you enter, you walk through this courtyard. In the center of which is a large white fountain, which is empty. There's no water in the fountain. There's no elaborate water system.
Thank goodness.
The grounds there are well kept, and you see several small gardens surrounding the fountain. The fountain is also a mimic. Kelian, roll initiative. Yeah, several small gardens where they grow small amounts of vegetables. Beyond that, you enter into what at once was a large room of worship, but they've converted it into kind of a commons area. So there's many wooden tables set up, and there is, on either side of the room, is a large woven tapestry. On the left side, as you enter, is a tapestry of a woman who's in the process of transforming into a swan. With one arm, she's holding a sword above her head, and the other arm extends out in front of her, and it's beginning to turn into a wing.
So it's like an Animorphs cover.
Yeah! That's a good description. Sometimes I feel bad, because that whole Animorphs thing was just a few years after I had outgrown it.
I never read any, but what I've heard lately about him is that those books are messed up.
They're fucked up. Dude, I read a different series by the same author that was completely fucked, and when I found out that the same person wrote Animorphs, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me.
The tapestry on the right-hand wall depicts a young Swan May girl, so dressed in the same kind of clothing with the same feather cloak, but on her head is a silver tiara. And next to her, their arms locked together and their fingers intertwined, is standing Serenity.
I gotta say, that's pretty clear cut.
Yeah. Would that be, and Riot points to the girl holding Serenity's hand, would that be Rachel?
Gestra says, at first she's kind of taken aback, like she wasn't expecting you guys to not know who was depicted there. But then she catches herself. And she says, forgive me, I simply assumed you would know why you've made this journey. She says, no, that is not Rachel. That is, we call her the Betrothed. She explains that the current betrothed in the coven, her name is Dathlu. And it's to this girl that Serenity will be wed.
Huh.
What?
How about that?
All right, done.
What? I'm sorry, what?
And she repeats herself, and she, in as more clear common, that she thinks there's still a language barrier there.
No, there's no language.
Serenity just sort of
I
shrugs.
understood you just fine.
Mahogany
Like,
shrugs. Serenity, you cool with that?
What?
Well, I don't know.
Alright, we'll see how this goes.
Could you tell me a little bit? Maybe you know what? I would not mind talking to Rachel at some point.
And she says, unfortunately, it is forbidden. Only the three rangers may confer with the Allmother.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit about the history here? Because, like you said, we might not entirely understand why we're.
She says, for the time being, you should retire to the quarters that have been set aside for you. That they will have food brought up, and at some point after the meal, she and her companions, the two rangers, will rejoin you in the commons.
That sounds good.
Riot goes over to Gestra is leading us around. Gestra.
Gestra's the one you're speaking with right now.
Yeah. So he said, "Listen, if you need a minister, I'm a priest. I can do this."
She's a priest of a water god, too.
Yeah, it's true.
True.
As she tells Riot, she thanks you for the offer. She says it will be unnecessary. Preparations for this particular union have been over 100 years in the making.
And what does this union consist of?
Oh,
Kelian's very curious.
Kelian. I thought you knew.
She says she would rather wait for her ranger companions before she goes into too much more detail, but that she would be happy to bring Dathlu down so that she may sit and speak with all of you.
And Riot says, "Okay, well, if not a minister, I can I can be entertainment. I'm an excellent performer."
She knew a guy once who could play the yaw pipes. I mean,
She does express interest at the mention of performance. She says that the Coven, all members of our order, are great lovers of music and dance.
Mm-hmm.
ballet, perhaps.
All right.
Huh.
The quarters you guys are given, again, very opulent as far as the structure goes, but the actual amenities, fairly quaint. You have straw mats that have been laid down. Just some very basic foodstuffs brought in. Not bad food, just prepared simply. Like rabbits that have been skinned and stewed up with carrots and potatoes, that kind of stuff.
So like 100 times better than what Riot's been trying to get us.
Oh,
to eat.
Yeah.
yes. Way better.
I really like the idea that like everyone's been throwing out her horrible cubes, including herself. She just thinks that we're all eating it.
So you guys are not being confined to quarters. So is anybody going to do anything for the remainder of the afternoon? Until this
Oh
evening?
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go ahead and I'll start making notes here.
Do we have a map or something?
I unfortunately did not find a decent map, so
Okay.
I looked. Riot, what would you like to do?
I would like to find out more about Swan May music and dance.
Okay. Kelian, what would you like to do?
They're going to talk to all of us later about the ceremony and the union and everything, right?
Right.
That's what I'm like. Kelian will just troll the grounds. See if there's anything fun and or valuable.
Look for valuables?
Not with the intent of stealing it, just a general appraisal of what's... Because if this is an ancient elven ruin, maybe they haven't found anything.
Roll
Sorry, do you
thing,
know
I
the
should say.
appraisal skill?
Roll a perception check and just sit on the result for now.
All right.
Liberation, what would you like to do?
You got anything good to drink?
You're gonna go looking for libations?
Yeah.
Serenity, what are you up to?
I guess I'll go talk to my fiance? ?
They will not allow you to see her yet.
Oh, I thought she said they. Okay, never mind.
Not
No,
before the
they,
wedding. Then.
they said they'll,
Misunderstood what they said.
they said they'll bring her down with the Rangers this evening.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll probably just go out to the yard and practice a little bit. It's been a while. The campsite's never really suitable for it.
Yeah, it's a big squat dome.
And Mahogany, what are you up to?
I'm gonna go with Nich, or with Riot rather, because I want to find out what kind of musical instruments they use in their music. Because I'll be damned if I don't leave before I make one.
Okay. Riot Mahogany. Making some inquiries. They predominantly use woodwind instruments.
Yes.
Anything you can blow into to make music. And the reason for this is because their order has a very strong attachment to air and wind. There is one harpist on the ground, whose harp was a gift to the Coven from the Dwarven homes in the mountain. So it's a harp made of very nice silver and strung with very fine silver strings. And this was a gift of friendship given to them after they inhabited the island a long time ago, but contact with the Dwarven home since then has been very, very sparse.
Alright, I'm gonna use the remainder of my time trying to devise a musical woodwind instrument that a swan could play.
You're going to fail miserably.
That's gonna be my wedding gift. And it's going to be, like, I'm going to test it out by turning into a swan and attempting it. I mean, like, alright.
So, Riot, what you learn is that basically, first of all, everybody who lives here, there are no men in the Coven at all. But all of the women who live here have some training in musical arts. Like, it's considered to be an important part of their society, whether they play an instrument or dance or sing. You don't speak any of the languages their songs are written in. They don't write any songs in common. But to hear them, they're very beautiful to listen to. Kelian, what did you get on your perception check?
15.
15. Once or twice, as you're walking around, you see that the women, some of them are wearing charms. And this strikes your eye because other than this, you haven't, like, none of the rangers you met out in the woods were adorned at all. They were very functionally dressed. But now that you're back at the temple, you see some of them are wearing charms openly. Some of them are wearing them on a piece of twine around their neck. Some of them are wearing as earrings. Some of them have them sewn into their garments. But all of the charms are identical. And each one is just a silver feather with a ring of... I'm sorry, with an outline of white gold. And after you figure out what to look for, you start trying to find them. And close to 80 or 90% of the women that you're looking at have these charms.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Each one of these would sell for 5 or 10 gold at the bazaar, most like.
10 gold worth starting a shitstorm. I gotta think about that one.
So this is when the session turns from the wedding session into the giant melee session.
The white wedding section to the red wedding section.
Liberation.
Yo.
As far as drinks go, they don't brew much of anything here, but a lot of the forest folk, especially gnomes and some of, like, pixies and kinds of things that live out in the forest, a lot of those peoples do make various types of wines.
Mm-hmm.
And so some does find their way to the island from time to time, although not in great enough quantities to drink constantly. You wouldn't just pop into a bar here on Swan May Island and have you a drink. However, a lot of the women that you speak to are very excited that some of these barrels will be tapped at the marriage, at the celebration.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds exciting.
As far as getting a drink for yourself, you were blocked at every opportunity, and because it's like I said, they ration it out very sparingly.
Mm.
But it seems that most of what they have would be wines made by the fairy folk and some of the local gnomes.
All right. So maybe you could tell me about this wedding a little bit. Maybe try and grease it. Grease it a little bit.
At that, you find the Swan Maze to be very elusive.
Right.
Make an insight check.
Insight. Because that's a thing I can do.
How do we do?
12?
12?
Yep.
Yeah, they basically just... Most of them dodge the subject. Most of them don't give you any more... in fact, none of them give you any more information than you already have.
Mm. Worth a shot.
Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Heading out into the yard, everywhere you go in this temple, you are being watched by everyone. So what do you do when you get out into the yard?
Just go through my standard, practice with my maul and spear.
Okay. And, I mean, you're kind of used to having an audience when you do this, doing this in the great gymnasium. But after a few moments, there is just a ring of maybe a dozen or so of these women watching you practice.
I'll go through the whole routine, I'll finish, and then I'll just sort of nod to one of them.
Okay.
Anything you'd like me to show you?
It's not a fighting style that they would be very adept at. They are much more adept at ranged attacks, especially bows and polearms.
I mean, the way I hold the staff, it's basically a pole.
Right? Several of them are trained in swordsmanship,
Mhm.
but mostly that's a traditional thing.
Okay.
Kind of a holdover from ages past. And kind of all of you, as you're making inquiries about the various topics, this is an order of people that are very steeped in tradition. Everything they do has some kind of cultural significance.
Did I hear anything about the music?
Anything about the music? I mean, there was some demonstrated for you. Did
Okay,
you not-
so I cut out for a little bit. I couldn't hear what you were saying about it.
Oh, okay. You got the part about the mostly woodwind instruments, except there's
Nope,
one.
I didn't
Okay.
get anything.
Most of the instruments they use are woodwind instruments. Their order has a very strong attachment to air and wind, so a lot of flutes. Mahogany immediately sat down and started trying making an instrument that a swan could play with their bill.
Yeah, and I found one.
Oh my god. There is one harp on site that was a gift a long time ago from the dwarf homes. So, just for tradition's sake, they make sure that there's one amongst the order here that is a trained harpist. And their music that they demonstrate for you, the songs that they sing, none of them are in a language you understand, but they're all very beautiful to listen to.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I'll ask if they have an archery range then.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll spend some time there just taking some practice shots.
And just like the musicians, how they're all in some way trained in music or dance, everyone here picks up a bow. There doesn't seem to be like any kind of divisions amongst the group. Everybody cooks, everybody works, everybody cleans, everybody shoots. That evening.
Are there any levels of the hierarchy aside from the rangers and the leader that are present, obvious?
Make an insight check. Because none are obvious, but let's see if you find any. I mean, if you ask outright, no. It's the All-Mother and then the 3 rangers who are allowed to confer with the
That's
All-Mother.
a 12.
A 12? Then no, there's no other divisions other than that. That evening, is anybody not going to the meeting in the Commons?
I'm definitely.
Oh no, I'm totally going.
I think everyone's going.
It's the 5 of you, the 3 rangers, and several of the other women who are off duty at the moment, who don't have other jobs to do, but want to sit in on this discussion. You very quickly learn that only a few of the Swanmay here speak Common. The other rangers you're introduced to, the first one, her name is Halima. Halima is an older woman. She looks to be almost maybe pushing 60. She's definitely the oldest one in the room at the moment. And she is wearing her charm as a pin that pins her cloak together. The third ranger, her name is Arindu. And Arindu is not wearing a feather cloak. Instead, she's wearing a gray cloth cloak, and she has her hood pulled up over her head. Unlike the other Swanmay, you can't see any hair spilling out of Arindu's cloak. She's got it hidden up under her hood. She also looks more pale than the rest of them that you've met. And they introduce themselves as the 3 rangers. Their job is to see to the day-to-day tasks and make sure that the orders of the All-Mother are carried out. They defer mostly to Jestra to do the talking. Jestra speaks the best Common. And Jestra speaks an ancient prophecy that reads, and I'll post this in the Twitch chat after I read it, because I'm sure Nick's going to want to put this in his notes.
You typed it already.
When southern blight takes root, and darkest night draws near, we sing a marriage of earth and wing to drive away all fear. And this prophecy is one of many that have been handed down from generation to generation through the Coven. And it's uncanny, the resemblance that Serenity bears to the woman in this tapestry. And so these people have kind of been waiting for generations for this woman to appear and make this prophecy come true. And in fact, one of the traditional roles of their coven is called the Betrothed. The Betrothed is a young girl who is not trained in any martial or musical arts. She's not gifted the ability to transform into a swan. She's kept pure in all ways of the world in anticipation of Serenity arriving. When that girl turns 16, they begin her training. She's no longer the betrothed, and then whoever the youngest girl in the coven becomes a new betrothed. So there's always one on the island. The current one, her name is Dathlu, and she's 15. And when they bring her in, she's wearing the tiara that you saw in the tapestry, and a veil in front of her face, and a feather cloak. And notably, she does not have any sort of charm. And she has a lot of difficulty making eye contact with Serenity. So we'll open it up there. What else do you guys want to know here? Where do you want to steer this to?
I want to know first. So the part about the marriage of Earth and making Jogwell appear, that part's pretty clear.
Okay.
Are you guys worried about a Southern Blight and a Darkest Night? Because we haven't really seen any evidence of that.
To which Arindu, the one with the gray cloak, responds, "Then you must have avoided the waterfall on your journey north."
Oh no, we went right up it. So the Southern Blight, that would be the cult then.
And there's agreement to that statement. This cult has been a very dangerous and somewhat recent scourge in the forest.
So what exactly... Is there any more specific prophecy about how this is going... Like, what the marriage does?
Halima answers, "Before we start expounding on those details, we should ask." And she gets a kind of dirty look from Jestra when she says this. And Halima continues. She asks Serenity point blank, "Are you the wanderer that was prophesized? Are you the one we were waiting for?"
I'm not sure. That's why I'm trying to get more information about the prophecy. Could be. Looks like me. Does the tapestry only have one eye?
No, it has both eyes.
Oh, well then that might not be me.
But there's any number of ways you could have lost your eye. You weren't born like that, were you?
No.
Halima says that many of their wisest over the years, including, she should point out, including the Allmother, believes that the prophecy is metaphorical. A marriage of earth and wing means that the coven should never take flight. That they should use their gift of control of the winds. They should use their gift as birds, but they should also put down roots. They should also take the gifts of the soil. And by uniting these two aspects of their culture, they can stand against any threat.
I mean, a marriage of earth and wing, I did that yesterday.
So you see there's some disagreement between the three rangers about what's about to transpire here. So they ask Serenity all kinds of questions. Do you know anything about the Swan May?
Nope.
Have you had prophetic dreams that led you to the lake?
I don't think so. I can't remember any.
Had you heard Dathlu's name before today?
Nope.
Are you showing any aversion to being wed?
Not particularly, but I don't know that Serenity generally... She's obviously not, like, disgusted by the idea or anything, but she's more trying to figure out what actually is going on.
Everyone loves a wedding.
Serenity's thinking, let's go ahead and get married, and then we'll get back to Sigil. We'll just we'll call up Lois and have her annul it. We'll be fine. We'll get Lois on the horn.
Well, look. My mentor did say make more mistakes.
They ask who your mentor is.
No, that was out of character.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, Serenity's more interested if it sounds like if they think this is a metaphor, maybe she should just go down to that waterfall and kill the leader of these druids.
And
I mean, especially since Daphne hasn't been trained in anything. Like Adventure Wife, she was bored. Wife that has to sit home and she has to worry about.
I mean, those druids seem like assholes.
Arandu, the one with the gray cloak, responds to Serenity, and she says, "Would that it were that easy. We haven't managed to..." And she speaks with some pain here. She says that we haven't managed to track down their location.
Yeah, they're slippery. When we fought, sank right down into the earth.
And they've seen that happen on occasion. Gestra picks up where Arandu left off. She says there's no reason to be coy. She says that Arandu and 4 of their best archers went out to pinpoint the nature of the connection between these druids and the waterfall, where they know they're centralized. But that they were captured. And as she describes Arandu's capture, Arandu looks away. She just obviously doesn't want to hear any of this. Her companions were killed. Arandu was in the druids' custody for some number of months. And only managed to arrive back with the help of another prisoner that helped her break out. A dwarven skirmisher from the mountain homes.
Do you remember that guy's name?
I don't, but I will go to fantasynamegenerator.com.
Oh, I was asking just because I wanted to know if it was Barbarian.
Yeah,
That's
did he hate
That's the
lizards?
full extent of my interest.
No, it's not Bumram, and as far as they know, all dwarves hate lizardmen.
Okay.
Like, there's 3 things you know about dwarves. They love gold, they love beer, they hate lizardmen. That's it. But this is very clearly a painful topic for Arandu. These druids have very slowly encroached on their territory, and they can't figure out where they're coming from. They know that they're connected to the waterfall in some way, but that's about it.
Where did they hold you when you were captive?
And it takes her a while to respond, but Arandu does. She says that she was unconscious, and she awoke in a dark cell, a cold place, somewhere deep beneath the earth.
Is Arandu the one who doesn't have a feather cloak?
Yes, she's wearing a dark gray cloak with her hood up.
So Mahogany will ask, so is this like a Selkie thing? Like, did they take your cloak?
At this, Arandu reaches up and pulls the hood down of her cloak, and you see much of the top half and back of her head has been badly burned. The hair on the other side is very scraggly and badly kept, cropped very short. Gestra explains that they took from her the magic charm that enables her to transform into a swan.
Alright, but so Mahogany's like, yeah, like a Selkie thing. By the way, just in case you guys are curious, I totally Googled to make sure that Selkies were an Irish mythological being before I asked that question.
And in case you guys want to know, there is a new fantasy name generator that is a Selkie name generator. I just saw it go up today, so it's there.
Mahogany, you can magically track objects, right?
And I'll say, like, yeah, I can help you find it.
And again,
Kelian,
the Rangers tell you that they've already tried that.
Kelian, you're familiar with the phrase crossbow wedding, right?
Well, I have a question first. Like, are they 100% wed to the purity thing? Because I mean, I think Serenity would be a lot happier with like an archer, and I didn't hear that in the prophecy.
Story just sort of puts her hand in her head, or head in her hands at that point.
Is the general consensus that you guys are going to allow this wedding to go forth?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, Riot's excited about it.
Everyone loves a wedding.
Wait, what? No, Serenity's says they don't even seem to believe it. I don't think it's literal. She's more interested in going and killing some druids.
She's 15.
Serenity, just make the Swan Maze Day. We can go kill the druids too. They're shitty druids. They're giving druids a bad name, literally.
What happens after the... I mean, do you have any specific prophecies of what happens after the wedding? I live in Sigil. I'm not... No offense, but I don't intend to be tied down here in the Prime.
They don't know where Sigil is.
Exactly.
As far as what happens after the wedding, and at every mention of the wedding, you see Dathlu. I mean, she's very demure, and she hasn't said anything the whole time. And,
Do I notice this?
oh yeah, it's very, very obvious.
Then I'm gonna message Daphne
Okay.
and say, listen, nobody can hear this. What do you think about this wedding?
And when you message her in her head, you see her head darts up as she looks around. She locks eyes on you. And you see her blush a little bit. No, you don't. She's wearing a veil. You don't see anything.
Yeah.
But then you see her head bow down again. And the message that comes back is that she thinks Serenity is very beautiful.
So you don't mind getting married?
And it's her role. I mean, this is her job. This is what she has been primed to do her whole life.
Right, right.
She's excited and embarrassed and...
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, if you're fine with it, then I see no reason to barge in and stop anything. People do what they get to do, you know?
Helima, the one who spoke up about the prophecy being metaphorical and not literal. She says that if it's the will of the Coven, that they can speak unto the All-Mother, and kind of like, you remember how, like, right after Brexit, everybody was kind of like, well, we voted for it, we kind of have to do it. That's kind of how Helima feels about this situation. We have this betrothed, and we have this prophecy, and now that she's here, we can't not do it.
Soon they will call Serenity Mrs. Brexit.
It's been 0 minutes since politics.
It's Swanmay politics, though, so it's fine. She says that preparations are underway. The main difficulty, and I have to actually open another image here. Sorry. The main difficulty is that before the wedding can take place, the betrothed will have to pray at the lake under the lake. When they first arrived here, their All-Mother at the time was old and sickly, which is why they sat down at this place. And after they cleared it of the residual monsters that had taken up residence and made the temple safe, they found a secret entrance that goes deep down into the island, far down into what at the time was an empty stone room. And they used this room as a tomb to lay their All-Mother to rest when she finally died. Behind that tomb, they found a natural cavern, in the center of which was a very small lake. A lake underneath the lake that they call home. And that this place became sacred to them. Unfortunately, the tomb was sealed up and nobody's been down there in a very long time. And who knows what's lurking down there now.
A dungeon with
Probably,
monsters.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound too hard to clear out for us.
One of the Swanmay at the back of the room, who watched Serenity in the yard, says that if there are evils in the lake under the lake, I doubt that the bride-to-be will have any difficulty clearing the way. And there seems to be a good deal amount of agreement to that.
So
At
do you...
that-
oh, sorry. Go for it.
At that, Kelian sighs and puts his head in his hand and just goes, "You just want to find Zook." All do.
Kelian,
Right,
I'm
right.
kind of-
Almost he says, "Come on, you're such a killjoy."
Kelian, there will be a cake at the
Romance
wedding.
blooming before our eyes, and that's all you can think about.
Have you met Kelian?
And who knows? Maybe Zook will hear the wedding is here and will show up.
That sounds like something Zook would do.
May I have this dance?
And in fact, I'm absolutely going to steal what Brickroad just said and have Mahogany say that to Kelian.
So that's where we'll leave it then, in case if that's the plan for everybody. Is next session, you guys have an escort mission to get the betrothed safely through this dungeon to the lake under the lake.
And it's an escort mission? Ugh.
Well, not necessarily. We can just go in there and wipe out everything and then come back.
Let's put it this way: she has a commoner stat block, and none of you can. Somebody can revivify now, can't they? You know, just in case.
I don't think so. But if you don't give her instant death, then we can bring her back as several times.
So that's the plan. Everybody's gung ho about getting Serenity married.
No,
Yeah.
Serenity still hasn't agreed to it, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm still kind of weirded out by this whole situation of Serenity getting married. Like, that's, like, what?
What's Serenity's
Find
opinion
Mahogany.
about the lake under the lake?
oh, that's definitely something we should do. Let's deal with that first. Let's deal with that now. There's nothing else that really matters.
Other things that you kind of learn as the conversation drifts back and forth. The Black Tongue has not been in the forest for very long, by forest terms. I mean, less than a generation. So maybe a little over a decade, maybe. They know that they draw their magic in some way from the waterfall at the river, and that they are strongly associated with it. But there's no structure there. There's no entrance behind the falls. In most of the skirmishes they've had when the Druids pushed too far north, the Swan may have come out victorious. And in fact, they have never personally encountered anything as dangerous as the Archdruid that you met in that clearing. They never had 24 Velociraptors dropped on their head.
I had two questions for them, actually.
Yeah.
What language do they primarily speak, and do they have written lore, or is it all oral?
They do have written lore, but it's all in their native tongue, which is a Swanmay language.
Okay. And then the other question... Oh, sorry.
They also speak Elven, and some of them speak Orin.
Did they speak Swan?
And then the other question I had was, if they're all women, where do they get numbers?
And at that, you get a very evasive answer, simply something to the effect of they've never had any difficulty maintaining the numbers of their order.
Swan delivers them.
Shut up. Just shut up. Just go into another room and wait for me to call
I
you
absolutely... Well, see, because I was already kind of pissed that do they speak Swan wasn't a stupid question.
back. Does anybody else have any... These guys, they're being pretty open about most topics. It's just when you start getting into the... the finer details about the secrets of their order that you get evasive answers.
Are any of them willing to help me create the hyper bass flute? Hyper bass.
None of them are, but several of them are interested to see where this is going.
Do any of them like men at all?
You just ask that at the meeting?
Yeah.
And Keel just stands up and points down to the dick and goes, huh? Huh?
Yeah, that's
Any
what he
of you?
does. Like, he doesn't even say anything. He just starts going full magic Mike or whatever it is.
Let's put it this
Yeah.
way. The Swan may know what sex is, and there are some in their number that would not be averse to it. If Kelian's just looking to get his
this
pecker
is a
wet,
sub-quest is what I'm hearing.
yeah, there you
Kelian
go.
has to find them. All right.
No, Kelian would probably have no trouble getting laid. He is an especially comely specimen.
All right.
So, all right.
Mahogany's native moistness generally turns most of the women off. But maybe Swan Mays are into that. Marriage of water and whatever.
I like that we're all fighting for blips right at the end.
I always figure Mahogany's sex life is more like he does fine until he opens his mouth. Like, I could see him, like, poking at a boob and being like, does something come out of it? Like, can it see me? Let's go ahead and put up a straw poll before we all die of laughter. I also got to add up experience. You guys get no experience because you didn't kill the Archdruid, but you got a bunch of experience for killing raptors and stuff. There's that again.
Yeah, we missed that. Oh, McLean.
Alright. Here's the straw poll, guys. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take 2 minutes to actually run to the bathroom before I come back, because I've had to pee for like an hour and a half now. It's just I get into the zone and I forget about my bladder.
God.
Hey, I rolled a 20.
Good for you.
Just, collectively.
Yeah. So anybody got input on blips?
I would like to nominate Moot for intangible.
Who?
Moot.
Moot. As far as furthers the party's goals, we still don't know if this Swan May diversion will lead us to Zook. Like, I'm still worried. I'm still concerned about that.
That's all we're doing for the rest of the campaign is trying to find Zook.
Yeah.
Mahogany,
Yeah.
you have a new flaw.
Oh, no. Let me add it to the
didn't have
list.
enough flaws. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got so many now. This flaw is special in that it cannot earn you experience. It's just something you have to live with. And the flaw is, I sometimes wake up seeking destruction.
That was already implied.
Every time you complete a long rest, you will roll a d20, and on a roll of a 20, you will seek to destroy your surroundings. Until further notice.
Wondering
You're
how
never,
that happened.
you're never going to tell us why that happened, right?
Does anybody have a guess?
I'm trying to remember what happened.
What has Mahogany done recently? That's worse than what he normally does.
You assume it's a punishment. It's not necessarily true. Alright, let's go down the list for some blips. We give 1 blip for the most creative action of the session. No? Nobody?
I don't know. We just had like a big fight, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the giant eagle up the water.
Yeah, that was good. I'll give that to Riot.
Sure.
Okay. We give 1 blip for assistance. Who furthered the party's goals the most?
I feel like this has to be Serenity.
Yeah.
I love a wedding. So.
Yeah. I'm going to bring a hanky to the next session.
We give 1 blip for being the badass. Who was the biggest badass this session?
I feel like it's Liberation with that arrow.
Liberation?
Oh, whipping the arrow back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Aw.
good.
Yeah.
Because like
I
that
don't
dude
like
failed his saving throw, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And if he
And
hadn't
then,
been...
and then subsequently getting Riot to burn the maggots out of his body when he could have just like asked Kelian to do
Yeah.
his thing.
Yeah, if you hadn't killed him on the next round, the maggots probably would have. And we give 1 blip for intangibles.
I'm nominating Mahogany for this from Moon.
For Moon. God damn it. Can I veto that?
No, it's brilliant.
All right.
Do you have a better suggestion?
So, all of the monsters today were brought to you courtesy of Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Hooray!
So you killed 4 archers, one of them got away, and 24 raptors.
They all had names.
So
Actually, I think we killed 23. One of them proved out of existence.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
that's
Yes.
you
Yeah.
singular.
Let me recalculate that.
And it hurt me every single time.
Everybody
You
gets
know-
790 experience for the encounter.
You knew what was going to happen.
Sorry, how much for the encounter?
790.
You knew it was going to happen when you decided to name them. You only brought the sadness upon yourself.
We always hurt the ones we love.
It's true. And how much was that for
That
encounters?
was 790 for the encounter.
The third time.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 790 experience.
790, 3 digits. 700 plus 90.
Okay.
I'm awarding everybody 500 experience for solving the mystery of the conch shell. I'm awarding Mahogany 0 experience for destroying it. Let's go ahead and get our belief rundown happening here. I don't have my belief thing up here. I will in a second here. All right, who
Okay.
wants to do beliefs first?
I'll
Do we have-
go.
Let me do that. Do we have any no-no-nos to get out of the way? No, everybody wants it.
Kelian's a no.
Kelian's a no-no-no. Okay.
Yeah.
Serenity's no.
Okay. Riot, what are you up to?
Laws are best followed in a manner that demonstrates their absurdity. This
And-
prophecy is the most absurd thing Riot has heard in a long time, and she's 4 square for following it in the dumbest way possible. Because she was presented with an alternative. You know, like, maybe it just means we should be really fortified. And that makes sense. But no, let's have a wedding.
Okay. Learning anything new about her beliefs?
Nah.
And are they changing?
Nope.
Liberation, what's your belief?
Got to go for the root cause of problems. It's not just enough to go for the quick fix.
And did he live that belief this session?
I would say no, because, I mean, there was this big boss druid guy that was hanging around, and Liberation was busy screwing off with the minions.
Okay. Learning anything new?
I would say yes, he is learning something new.
How so?
Because sometimes that's just not an option. You can't just charge headlong into the into what the problem is, because there might be other things that aren't that either hinder you from doing that, or it's just not feasible. It's just not feasible in some way.
Okay. And are his beliefs changing?
I would say yes, but not quite. Give me a belief point for it yet.
Well,
I have,
switch
to
is...
have to come up with something.
Okay, so
He's still
that...
in a learning phase, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And Magagagi.
Mine is that everything has a perfect state of being and some cannot be tolerated.
Okay, did he live that belief this week?
Yep, he burned the shit down of that tower.
Is there another way he lived that belief this week?
Yeah, he basically at every step of the way, Mahogany has been trying to figure out, like, okay, what's going on in this area? Like, how do these people try to live out their lives? Is there any way that we can not interfere with that? And he tried that in the most arrowed way possible with those druids.
Okay, learning anything new?
Yeah, and this is actually a non-joking response to the tower. In the past, he has had some issues with, like, mind control and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also seen Riot having some troubles along the way with the same sort of thing, and he's now he's able to justify this stuff to himself, but he's starting to pick up on what's going on. And so I think in the future, like, anything that's like as wild a swing as this, like, he's probably, like, the next time this happens and comes up, there's a decent chance he's going to just take the disadvantage for the entire fucking day.
Okay.
Because he's going to twig to what's going on.
And is he learning anything new about his beliefs?
No.
All right, so Liberation and Riot, I've got 1 BP for you. Mahogany can take 2. We have a 3-way tie on our straw poll between Kelian, Serenity, and Mahogany. So someone's going to have to break that tie. As far as me giving out blips, I only awarded 1 this week to Serenity for your flaw. Her flaw is there is only now. And right now she's like, well, hold on. We need more information about this first. I can't run headlong. I got to think about this, running headlong into this wedding. Which strikes me as a very un-Serenity kind of thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, the last time it's like, Chaos Man. Yeah, why not? But this? What's going on
I
there?
forgot about that.
Like,
Okay.
what makes this different from riding with Chaos Man?
So, Serenity, that's the blip for you.
What are blips worth right now?
1050 at the moment. Riot, Liberation, Serenity, and Mahogany all got a blip that you guys awarded. And
1050, you said?
so here's what I'm going to do. I will break the tie on the straw poll blip.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It already got broke.
Did it?
Yeah, I just refreshed it and Kelian carried it.
Oh, I guess it doesn't refresh automatically. All right, Kelian, you get the extra blip for the straw poll. The
Who are
1050.
you gonna vote?
Which is good because you didn't have any blips otherwise. I was gonna roll a d6. D6
I am
instead.
not above the pity vote. It's fine.